Yeah.
It's an incredible informal chat for sure. But anyway,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
yeah, future investments. Welcome to the What Podcast channel. It's a real pleasure to have you on, dude.
Thank you, CPM, mate. It's a pleasure to be here. Finally, I've come over. I've been wanting to do it for a long time, but finally got the courage to do it. So thank you for having me.
Hey, that's a pleasure, mate. It's an absolute pleasure. Now, as you know, I'm doing like a little series on the What Podcast of people's little stories, so we can get to know the personalities a little bit more behind the creators that are out there. So I'm going to kick it off, mate. How we all know you as Future Investments, and how tell us a little bit about the journey of how you got to today, from being a youngster, and what was that journey like for you so far?
Oh, well, that's a great way to start. Something people have never ever heard. So I'll start. Yeah, thank you for that. So to go all the way back to the beginning,
Yeah.
I've always been interested in money, even as a youngster.
Mhm.
Um, my dad will tell me often that when he used to take me to school, I
Yeah.
used to, on the way to school or on the way home, I would always say, "How much do you think this particular celebrity's worth? How much money do you think they've got?" And he said it used to just make him chuckle because he used to think, "Why is such a person of that age interested in these things?" And
Wow.
but, yeah, funnily enough, he actually brought that up on Tuesday when I saw him. So that's funny that we're back at this topic. But yeah, he said he always thought that was strange. So I guess from a very young age, I was always um, well, I would say I had an addictive personality. When I found something I was passionate about, I hooked onto it and really never let go. And I guess that was money, but I didn't know back then how that would lead to
Yeah.
become. It was sort of unnaturally ingrained in me. It wasn't something implemented. My mum and dad are not and were never money people. I didn't come from money. Um, so it's really unusual because I've got five siblings. I've got two parents. None of them are money people, not one. So I don't know where this influence come from, but it
Wow.
just sort of self-generated, which is very peculiar.
And what sort of
Um,
age are you talking about there?
I would say secondary school. So, probably 12 years old it started when my dad would take me to secondary school. And,
Yeah.
I remember asking him those questions, but I didn't know as a young child the meaning of what
Yeah.
I was asking. I just was interested in money of like how much have they got, but I wasn't old enough or mentally aware to think this is something that's going to lead on for me in the future. It was just something that I asked at
Mm.
the time. So
And how
yeah,
was
that
sorry, mate, how was school for you in those early days? Do you enjoy it? Not enjoy it? Took
good
it for what it
question.
was?
I loved primary school. I went
Yeah.
to a fantastic primary school, and it was so good. I mean, the school really did take care of their students. We went on nice trips. I wasn't bullied. It
Yeah.
was a very good school.
Yeah.
And I was friends with everyone. I was that sort of want to
Yeah.
be friends with everyone sort of person. Secondary school, you start, developing a bit mentally and you grow up a little bit, but you're
Yeah.
still a child. Um, I didn't dislike secondary school, but from the moment I started, which would have been year seven in 2007, I would have been about 12 years old.
Yeah.
I knew that, and I mean this in the most non big headed way.
Yeah, it's fine.
I knew deep down that I was destined for some form of achievement in something.
Yeah.
And I knew that it wasn't going to be through the academic scheme of school.
Okay.
And hindsight's a wonderful thing. I often say now when people say to me, like, in a conversation, what if you could go back in time, what would you do?
Yeah.
And if I could go back in time, I would do well in school
Yeah.
to become a fighter pilot in the RAF. That's what I
Oh,
would
yeah.
think would be a
How
great
wonderful.
career. But in school, you don't think that at the time. You don't know what you want.
Yeah.
But I knew there was something in life for me that I wanted to achieve, but I didn't think it would be through the school system. So I was pretty well behaved in school. I was never naughty, was never kicked out of class or anything like that. Well, I might have been sent outside the class for a bit,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I was never kicked out of school. Um, I wasn't particularly bullied. I was, again, that person that sort of made friends with everyone.
Yeah.
And I think I probably did that, truth be told. So I didn't get bullied
Yeah.
because if you're friends with everyone, then who's going to be your enemy, sort of thing.
Absolutely.
Um, because although I was confident on the outside to everyone. I was actually a very shy person. And when I would get home from school, I would never really go out. I used to sit on my own and do my own thing. So I had a front of confidence, but I was actually quite a little nervous person.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, secondary school was okay. I had friends, but I knew that I wanted to achieve things in life and I wanted to work. I wanted to start earning money. And I left secondary school in 2007 and I didn't do college and I didn't do sixth form. I didn't want to go to university. And within 2 weeks of leaving secondary school, I had my first job. And yeah, that's where my money hungry path started. And that first job, I was on about £5.45 an hour at the time. I
Mhm.
would have been 16.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember working for a whole year at this part-time job. It was in a retail store. And I remember working all year, these part-time hours, because it's all I could get. And I was saving every penny, I mean, that I earned. And I used to go to the cash machine because back then, even though I'm, not particularly an old person, even back then online banking wasn't really a thing.
Yep.
So I used to go to the cash point in town and I would check my balance every sort of week or month. And I remember the first time I ever had £1,000 in my account. And it took me a year at that first job to get that. And I took a receipt out of the cash machine and I held on to it for a long time. Obviously, I haven't got it now, lost it somewhere, but it was a moment for me. £1,000 in my bank account. That was an obscene amount of money that I'd never seen in my life or grew up around. And it
Yeah.
was like, this is the start of something. And that's probably where it really started. And yeah, I'll
Okay.
never forget that. My first £1,000, it seemed ridiculous to me at the time.
Okay. That's really interesting. So you leave school at 16, first year, you're doing a job in a bit of retail, £5 something an hour, and you've grafted, it sounded like you've grafted away and managed to get that thousand. That's amazing at that age. Get that first £1,000 and now you're hooked. Is that
Mm.
right? Are
Yeah,
you hooked?
that's absolutely right. Yeah, I was hooked.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Before we explore the hooked bit, um, but did you, and obviously you left school, got yourself a job. Was you just like, was you like tunnel vision, got to work every day, got to work every day? Or did you have a nice balance with a bit of socialization as well?
Yeah, I definitely had a balance. I mean, I went out and saw my friends, and
Yeah,
as soon as I got my driving license when I was 17, that
yeah,
was one thing I always wanted more than probably anything. Well,
yeah.
definitely.
Mhm.
So I was definitely going out and spending money. I had no concept of budgeting, saving, or investing. Not a
Yeah.
clue. Not
Okay.
not not a clue.
That's
But I
good to know.
knew that if I worked hard, I could have money to do things with. I always knew that it was better to have it there
Yeah,
than need it and not have it.
yeah.
But yeah, for sure, I was a young man and I went out clubbing and partying, seeing my friends, and
Cool.
didn't save at that young age. But later on, it came in.
Okay, cool. That's nice to know because that sounds about the same as 99% of all of us, what we go
Mm.
through when they're at that age. So yeah, you get to 17. What was progress like from the sort of 17 to 20? I know you're 28, aren't you?
28, yeah.
Yeah, same
Good
age as my
question.
son. Yeah,
Really?
that next
Okay.
stage, that next stage.
Well, this next stage is where it rockets, to be honest with you.
Okay.
So from 16 to I'm gonna say 18, nothing
Okay.
really happened. I
Okay.
I went from a couple of different jobs, all low paid, um, but still accumulating, a couple of thousand in savings probably between 17 and 18. Bought my
Yep.
car. I
Yep.
probably had a couple of grand, but that wasn't where it started. I got this job in a body shop when I must have been, mid 18, turning 19.
Yep.
And basically, I started there, sort of the bottom of the list, polishing cars. And I used to stay late with the management. It
Okay.
wasn't really out of choice per se. It partially was, but they used to say, future investments, can you come and help me move this car into the workshop after
Yep.
everyone had gone?
Yep.
And unbeknownst to me, that led me on to becoming a workshop manager before I was even 20 years old, the
Wow.
owner of the company. And this is a big body shop. I mean, this is a big body shop. We're not talking like a small backstreet garage.
Yeah.
There was like 40 guys in the workshop. Um,
Yeah.
and I remember the owner came up to me and cheers. Yeah, so I was helping out the managers, and the owner of the body shop came up to me and said, future investments per se. Do you want to maybe become a workshop manager one day? And I
Yeah.
didn't know what that meant, but I knew whatever it meant more money, right?
Yeah.
So I said yes, and that kind of just happened, and I became joint workshop manager, and I did that for years, and basically I was doing that for a long time and I didn't get any extra money. And I suddenly got to this point where I knew I was being taken advantage of. So I went and spoke to the owner, and he basically held his hands up and said, "How much do you want?" So he gave me a big fat pay rise there and then. And then from that moment, I'm still about 19. I started earning a lot of money for a
Yeah.
19-year-old.
Yeah.
I was earning a lot of money. Relative to other 19-year-olds, I'm going to say, because
Sure.
most 19-year-olds were in college or uni,
Yeah. Yeah.
so they were earning nothing, where I was earning, £2,500 a month take home in 2014. And bear
Wow.
in mind, I'm living at home with my dad.
Yeah.
Um, so all of a sudden, I had this huge income that I'd worked for and deserved, and I'm living at home with my dad. And I still, again, didn't have any understanding about saving, investing, or budgeting, but I knew how to stack money. I just knew how to stack it.
Yeah.
The simple rule was uh, save more than you spend. And I
Yeah.
knew that. That was common sense.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, earning this level of money, it started building up. And I remember there was a garage, a car sales garage. When you would leave the body shop sort of area, there was a car sales garage, and all these cars were on sale. And there was cars, from like 4 grand to £30,000.
Yeah.
And I was earning so much money and stacking so much money every month because my outgoings were so low. I remember looking at the cars each sort of day as I drove out, and I was like, next month I'll be able to buy that one. And
Yeah.
then it was a cycle. And then I was going like, next month I'll be able to buy that one. And we were going from 5 grand to £20,000.
Yeah.
And when I was 20 years old, I had saved up, I think off the top of my head, it was around £17,500. And I was only
Jesus.
20. Yeah.
Wow.
And I was only 20. And I went out and I bought a £10,000 car. It was my dream car. And
Yeah.
I'm lucky that my dream car was an affordable dream
Yeah.
car. And
Can you say what it was?
yeah, yeah, it was a Nissan Silvia S15 spec R. So it was like a sister of a Nissan Skyline, if you like, if that
Okay.
means anything to
Yeah.
anyone.
Yeah.
Um,
Sort of.
and yeah, I bought that at 20, paid £10,000 cash for it, paid the couple of £1,000 insurance, and I still had about £7,000 left, or 6,000 or so, whatever it was. Um, and yeah, that's when I realized big time, if you stack money, you can get nice things. And that's when I was like, right, something changed here. And I was very lucky that unbeknownst to me, that purchase, and this is extremely rare, as you'll know with vehicles, it turned out to be a very, very good investment. And I more than doubled my money on that car.
Wow. Why was
Yeah,
that? Why was that?
unfortunately,
Just tell me why
well,
that. Educate me a bit. Why was that?
yeah, for sure. So it's a Japanese car, and they're
Okay.
very popular. They're quite desired.
Okay.
And I bought it before the spike of desirement happened for them, so to speak.
Okay.
And I owned that car 3 years. I drove it every day, hard as a young man does,
Yeah.
you know. And I owned it for 3 years. Bought it in, sorry, 2016 is when I bought it,
Okay.
and not 2020, 2016 when I was 20 years old.
Mhm.
And I owned it for 3 years. And in 2019, it was at a garage having a gearbox repair. And unfortunately, it was set on fire at the garage. And obviously, I claimed, and I got all my money back for the car.
Yeah.
But because the fire engine had put it out, only the back half had caught fire.
Okay.
So I ended up buying the car back.
Yeah.
I sold it for £4,000 because the whole rest of the car was fine and desirable.
Yeah.
So there I'm up already £4,000.
Yeah.
And I had previously crashed it before it was set on fire, and I got paid out six and a half or so £1,000. And it only cost me about £1,000 to repair because I worked at the body shop and they fixed it. So I actually doubled my money on that car through complete misfortune, which was
Yeah.
bad at the time. And then that's what set me up. Now I'm got, now I think I'm, what was I, 2019? I don't know, I must have been 23 or something like that off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I had, £10,000 already saved as a 23-year-old because I knew just to have 10 grand there was a good thing to do. And then this happened with the car. So then bang, I've got another 20 grand. So there, before you know it, I've got £30,000 saved up.
Wow.
And I was 23 and living in my flat with my girlfriend at the time, renting, and I had 30 grand. Um, but the good thing was at this particular point, this wasn't long before I started future investments in 2021. And I
Hmm.
already knew I wanted to stack money and invest and buy property. So I continued saving and I actually saved up just under, just under £50,000 when I was 25. I had about 48,000 something pound in cash, um, all completely saved from myself. No inheritance,
Yeah.
nothing, just me working and saving. And
Okay.
yeah,
That,
that's how that sort of came up.
yeah, that's amazing. I'm just going to kick you back a little bit from a couple of things you just said. And you said you always knew you wanted to, um, was it buy a property? Was it some, did you say like you always wanted sort
Yeah,
of
no,
property
no,
or that going forward? How
yeah.
did that come into your mindset? What point did that sort of structure into your mindset in that short journey, really?
It's a good question. I think it was self-ingrained, honestly, but I
Okay.
was smart enough to know through my own sort of research, even though it was very limited because I didn't know what to research, but I
Yeah.
knew what was spoken about. And it was always the wealthy people always said, buy and rent property.
Yeah.
So it was like, I didn't know about bullion at that point or anything else. I didn't know about index funds. It was the
Yeah.
only thing I knew about was get a buy, get a buy to let. And
Yeah.
I even went as far as um, contacting people I know. I do know a millionaire in real life
Yeah. I've
who's
heard you talk about that. Yeah.
successful. Yeah, he's a successful entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And when I had that money of, nearly £50,000, I didn't know what to do with it. Um, I spoke to him and, he said, I've got buy to lets and HMOs. And then that's where it stemmed because he was giving me this advice. And not only was he giving me advice, he's done it.
Yeah.
Proof was in the pudding.
Yeah. Of
And I
course.
was thinking, well, if he can do it and he's in his 50s, I'm half his age.
Yeah.
I'm on a path here. So that's where that started. But
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't actually properly learn about investing until I actually started future investments. It
Yeah.
wasn't until I threw myself into that I unknowingly learned the most amount of investing knowledge I ever could have imagined. I
Yeah.
mean, I started future investments to showcase my 1 gram gold bars because I knew I couldn't go out and tell people about it. So I was like, I'll put some videos up and then at least I can kind of, you know,
Hmm.
communicate with people. But I didn't start it with the idea to learn investments and,
Yeah.
network. So it just stemmed from there. And then it's kind of like compounded from there. And I'm so grateful because the people I've spoke to and the people I've networked with has just expanded my knowledge. And I feel like I'm
Sure.
in such a better place than I would have been if I never started the channel.
Yeah. Well, just going to a couple of other things. I just want to ask you a couple of questions on when you was really grinding away, when in your managerial bit with a body shop and you was accumulating more money and saving more money. Was your mindset more right? Okay, I'm just going to work my guts out here. I'm just going to really work my guts out, or did you still have a sort of bit of a balanced work social sort of for a young man, or was it just purely
Yeah,
no bang? I can see some really good results coming here. I'm just going to plow myself into work, and that's what was your
bloody hell,
mindset?
that is a good question. That is
Yeah.
a good question. And I can
So
tell you, in that period of my life where I worked in that body shop, there was no balance.
yeah,
My contracted hours were 7 a.m. till 5 p.m.
yep,
every other Saturday
yep,
included, which was 7 till 12 p.m.
yep,
So I was doing 10-hour days from 18 years old till I
yep,
left when I was, I think, 23 in 2019, something like that.
yep,
Um, so 10-hour days, I mean, Christ, yeah, there was no balance. I used to still see my friends and I remember rushing home and my dad's even now will tell me It was bizarre. He said like you would run home, you'd be like, no time to chat, I've got to go out. I'd run downstairs, upstairs, sorry, have a shower. They'd be like, do you want dinner? I'd be like, no, I'm out the door. Because the thing was, all my friends, even then, in at 20, 20, no, I wasn't, sorry, I was at this particular age, I was around 20.
Yeah.
They were still not even working. They were at college, so they had all
Yeah.
the time in the world. But
Yeah.
never mind, I've just done 7 in the morning till 5 p.m.
Yeah.
Uh, so there was no balance. I still tried to do everything, but because I was a young man, you don't get tired, and you do these things. So I did it, but my balance now is like all about moderation.
Sure.
I've left that place, and my life balance is so much better now. But back then, the answer to your question is no. There was no balance. It was all just work and get as much money as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously paid off, didn't it? Paid off big time for you.
It did, and I'm thankful I did it. It set me up. It
Yeah.
really did.
Yeah. And another question, did you ever get that opportunity whilst you was doing that to observe how your friends were living at the time, what how your friends' mindsets were, and did that ever sort of did you ever sit and think about that and think, no, I don't want to be those. I don't want to have that mindset. I want to have this different mind. Can you see the picture I'm trying to build up for people
Mhm.
to
Yeah,
to get into?
yeah, I completely will agree with that. It hurt. It feels bad to say, but I always
No.
knew, in a money sense, I was cut from a different cloth because you know I was working really hard, and I knew I was working hard even then. But I knew it was for something big,
Yeah.
and the others were noticing. I was driving around in a flash car that I paid 10 grand for at 20 years old. They're
Yeah.
still at college. You know, I moved out when I was 20 and started renting. My rent was £900 a month, and it
Wow.
was fine. I didn't even touch the sides.
Yeah.
Um, and they still, a lot of these people, they still live at home, you
Yeah.
know, and I've got my own mortgage. I've got my own sports car in the garage,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that don't get me wrong, this does not make anyone any lesser value just because they haven't got financial things or
Yeah.
these materialistic things. It doesn't mean anything because when we die, it all
Yeah.
goes to someone else anyway. But my personal thing was I knew I was cut from a different cloth with mindset and work ethic. And, I'm glad because it's put me in a position where I am today. And I feel absolutely blessed, to be honest with you. I
It's a
feel
massive
honestly blessed.
Yeah, it's a massive start to anyone's mindset at a young age. It's incredible. I loved it. I love it, and it's very inspiring for anyone else that may be sitting there, 19, 18, may happen to watch this and just think, oh wow, I don't have to have to go off to whatever just to accumulate because we all love to accumulate shit. I can just work hard, and the more I hear this, it's so encouraging to hear, and I think it's really cool to try and put this message out there because I think people can become a little bit disillusioned and sit back and think they're going to become whatever they're going to become. But there's nothing beats like a bit of hard graft, in my opinion.
Oh my God, that's so true. I mean, even when I was doing 7 a.m. till 5 p.m., 10-hour days for 6 years, and I was doing overtime as well, not even including that. I
Sure.
was going out after work and doing private work. I
Yeah.
was going out and sanding and polishing people's cars, washing them for
Yeah. Yeah.
private work. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, what drives a 18, 20-year old, 23? I even do it now still, but my work life is different because I work less hours because I've got a better job.
Yeah.
But what is, I don't understand where it came from because, like I said, my parents were not money people at all. Never talked about saving, investing, nothing like that. Nothing. And my brothers were the same. I don't know where it's come from, but that's why I say I feel like I was cut from a different cloth somewhere because it just was me as a personality. It wasn't
Yeah.
even, I didn't force this out of me. It was just who I was.
Just happened. Yeah.
Um, yeah. And so, yeah, crazy, really.
It's
Crazy.
yes, it's crazy, but it's really cool. It's really cool because there's many people like that. And as you said earlier, and it's really important to stress, it's not the be all and end all. It just
Mm,
happens to be your journey. That's if that's your journey,
exactly.
that's your journey. So so you left the body shop at 23, did you say?
Yeah, 2019 I left the body shop.
Two-
I'm guessing here. I can't remember my exact how old I was, but I
Okay.
started when I was 18. I think I was there about 6 years or 5 years. So I must have been about 22, 23, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then did you stay in the same sort of industry or did you move into something completely different? Or can you say, do you want to
Yeah,
say?
I can for sure say I stayed in the same industry per se,
Hmm.
but instead of being in a body shop, I work at a, a company that produces cars. We don't repair them.
Okay. Right. Cool.
Um, and essentially, what I went from was, a body shop, which wasn't a backstreet garage. It's, ridiculously massive.
Yeah.
Um, but I went from a body shop which was harsh. They speak to you badly.
Yeah.
You working with old miserable blokes who didn't like the fact a 20-year-old was asking them to strip a bumper down and repair a quarter panel.
Yeah.
It was hard. It was very hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it gave me a backbone in a sense. So then
Sure.
when I went to this corporate company in 2019, where you get two breaks in a day, not one, there's a restaurant, you
Yeah.
get a better pension, you
Yeah.
get bonuses a year, you're not allowed to be spoken to like poorly. I was
Yeah.
like, this is unbelievable. This is
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And to this day, I still work there. And to this
Cool.
day, when I get people who like in every job, they moan and they whinge. I am always thinking, you have no idea, because where I came from was so hardcore. It was like, what a change coming to this company. And I'm
Yeah.
glad that happened because it gives me that perspective to know how good I've got it now. But
Yeah.
if you've never been somewhere as bad as that, then you might consider where you're at now poor. But if
Yeah.
you left and went to where I worked, you'd want to come back. Do you know what I mean? So I'm glad that I know that. But
Okay.
yeah, it's a great place to be. Great place to be. And my working hours are
Mhm.
so much better. Salary's fantastic. It's just
Yeah. Good
yeah, I
package.
mean, I've been there since 2019. My goal is to become an entrepreneur and have multiple streams of income, as you'll know. But
Yeah.
the fact that I'm still there 5 years or so later,
Yeah.
speaks wonders, doesn't it? So it tells you how good it is.
Yeah, for sure. It's really important to find that happiness in when we spend so many hours exchanging our time and energy for money. It's
Mm.
important that we try and find somewhere that we actually enjoy doing that.
Yeah.
It's really important. So, another little question for you on this little journey from the body shop to, your present job, but more just up to getting your present job.
Mhm.
Was was your family supportive in you, or was it just purely your own self-driven mindset, mentality to it didn't matter whether you got support or didn't get support, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah. I'll be totally honest with you. I think because I was cut from such a different cloth
Yeah.
in that sense, I never even considered what family's opinions were, and
Yeah.
they knew to not even think about it because
Okay.
I was almost like the lead in the family of making the right decisions, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
I can't explain it, but as like the younger sibling of the six siblings,
Wow.
I was always making the me being sixth, if you like. So I've got five siblings, but with me it's six.
Yeah.
Um, I was always I just did, I just did. I
Yeah.
didn't ask, I just did because I knew what I wanted. I knew what I wanted. So I never looked for advice really. I might have asked my dad, do you think this is the right decision?
Yeah,
But that
sure.
would have been as far as it's gone. I
Yeah.
still was going to do what I was going to do anyway.
Yeah. Wow. That's really cool. That is really cool. And that sort of gives me a bit of a reflection on the type of personality you are when you're on your channel. Because that would come across. You're driven. This is what you want to do. And I've heard you talk about, it you're not scared to make mistakes, but this is my ambition. And I've often sat there and thought, oh, I wonder where that's coming from. And now I'm beginning to understand. This has been
Mm.
building from like fairly young age. So it's really cool. It's so great. I'm so glad you're on. I find it fascinating. Really do.
Oh mate, so nice to be on and be able to talk about these things.
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
you. It's really, really nice. I'm thoroughly loving it. I'm really am.
yeah, it's cool. It's cool. So when did when did the whole concept of future investments, YouTube, and whatever you're doing, take me through that little, the pathway to starting that? Did at what point was you starting to think about things other than houses or cars, maybe, or looking at, oh, what else can I do with this money? Because I'm working really hard and accumulating it. What can I do with
Hmm.
it? Tell me that little bit of a journey. How did that start?
Ah, it's a good question.
Yeah,
I can tell you when it started.
yeah,
I was renting my second flat.
yeah,
It must have been 2020. Yeah, it was 2020 when COVID was just about to hit,
yeah,
or was hitting. I had lost my car, so I had all this money and I had already saved money. So then I had this big pile of cash sitting in the account. I knew it was dead in the bank account. Even back then, I knew that. So I desperately was sitting around. I was furloughed at the time, and was furloughed for 7 months, by the way.
wow,
Solid. I didn't go back to work for 7 months, and I was paid 80% for 7 months. Unbelievable. So
bloody
this is
hell.
probably how it started because I had all this time. Um, but I had all this money, and I knew I wanted to buy a house, but I also knew I had enough to start putting bits elsewhere because I didn't need the full, let's say 50 grand
Yeah, yeah,
to put a deposit down. So I started going on YouTube a lot and searching investments and whatnot, and I didn't want to do anything risky. Even back then, I was like, I don't want to lose money. I just want to do it, put it in something that's safe. I remembered calling my bank at the time. It was with Santander, and I said, can I open an investment account and all this? And it just didn't work. Didn't work. And somehow I found gold bullion on YouTube, precious metals,
okay,
and yeah, I remember seeing these 1 gram gold bars, and I looked them up, and I was like, oh, they're about 50, 60 quid from the raw mint.
yeah,
Researched about it, hedge against inflation, wealth preservation device. Gold's been around 4,000 years. It's not
yeah,
looking to go anywhere anytime soon. I was like, this could be the thing to start putting money in. So I started buying 1 gram gold bars, one a month. You know, I
yeah,
mean, I had loads of money, but because I'd never invested before, I was so
yeah,
intimidated by it. I literally only did one a month for months, probably 6 months.
yeah,
Um, I bought a couple of 1 ounce silver coins. And then before I know it, I'd like, let's say 5 or 6 1 gram gold bars and maybe 5 ounces of silver. And I was like, I had it in a little safe in my flat, and I was like always getting it out, showing my dad or my mum when they come round. And
yeah,
I had no one I could show, so I was like, I'm going to make a YouTube channel without me in it, and I'm just going to show it and see what happens. And I started that in August 2021. So next month I would have been on YouTube as Future Investments for 3 years,
wow,
and I believe it's the 23rd of August. And I started it, and the channel started getting a lot of views, and all of a sudden, start getting regular people comment on my videos. This person called 365 Days of Silver started appearing on every single video,
I wonder who that is.
commenting. Exactly, yeah. And then we ended up talking, and we started talking on WhatsApp, and we became friends. And this is before this whole community sort of thing was around. There was nothing. It was only Backyard Bullion and the Americans at the time.
Yeah,
And yeah, I sort of connected with 365, and we were like, hang on a minute. We found someone together between us both who have the same mindset. So
yeah,
we started sharing our goals, our ambitions, our financial stuff with no worries of being judged that you're being big headed or you're
okay,
coming across as you're trying to boast. And we kind of clicked. And then from that moment, it went exploded. And 365 started smashing content. I started smashing content. And we kind of grew together at the very start. And then from then on, the YouTube community just grew, and Future Investments was very lucky that it grew and grew. And as it grew, I was gaining more subscribers, and I was like, right, I need to learn more about investments now because I don't know anything. I only know about a bit hedging
all
against
right,
inflation and
okay,
stuff like
yeah,
that. So I sieved knowledge from 365 because he knew about index funds and investment property. And it started divulging into the content, you see, and little bit by little bit, as my knowledge grew, I threw each little bit of new knowledge into each video,
Hmm.
and it helped grow the channel, grew the channel, and then this community started appearing, and yeah, and that's sort of how it happened, and it come to a point where I was like, hang on a minute, I'm actually going to be able to get this channel monetized because I'm gaining views and subscribers at a pretty rapid pace. And yeah, I think it was a year and a half it took roughly to get to get 1,000 subscribers. We did that first, and then to get the 4,000 watch hours. Um, and that was a massive day. And the funny thing was, me and 365 Days of Silver got monetized on the exact same day. It was the 1st of March, 2023. I
No
mean, how
way.
odd is that? How odd is that? On the same day we got you're now monetized, you've reached your goals. I mean, unbelievable. So that's the real start of the journey. But back when I started, there was no community. It was literally Backyard Bullion, I think Empire Precious Metals. Well, he's American actually. So yeah, it was Backyard Bullion. He was, the only sort of big guy, really.
Yeah.
And then it was the Americans. And then the community just sort of has blown up since. Which has been amazing to see. So that's how it started. And yeah, I was living in my flat and I was filming the videos in my spare room on the spare sofa bed that we had, and sometimes in the hallway on the floor, and sometimes on the ex-girlfriend's dressing table.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then I sort of moved. It just progressed really.
Hmm. So
Um,
that's fascinating. That's an interesting bit of information. Because for me personally, I can't imagine that there was no community, or there might have been a community, but it might have been sort of very secretive or not really out there. Yeah, when you look at it now, you just think, well, there's always been a community. It's
yeah,
amazing.
I
It's
mean,
an amazing story. It must have been really weird back then.
oh mate, it was weird. There was people who regularly commented on my videos. I remember Currency of Earth. They still comment on my channel even now. But there was no Cobra Stacker. There was
No.
no CPM.
Yeah.
There wasn't even a 365. He was the first to appear. There was no Stack Collector.
Yeah.
Although he did have a channel where he commented on my videos
Yeah.
for a long, long time. He watched every single one. But that was before he created his Stack Collector channel.
Yeah.
And he messaged me one day and said, by the way, I am the person that was commenting on your videos from the beginning. I've just made this channel. So
Okay.
yeah, crazy. And now look at it now with, Stacker Social,
It's
Cobra's
amazing.
auctions,
It's
your
amazing.
Whiskey Wednesdays, your podcasts.
There's
I
loads of
mean,
people out there now. Loads.
it's amazing. There's loads, but I'm genuinely friends with so many of you on a
Yeah.
personal basis, which is incredible when you think we've never even met.
Yeah.
But I think that shows how powerful mindset is,
Yeah.
you know, when you're with like-minded people, you can share these things
Yeah.
with no worry of like you're boasting
Yeah.
or confrontation. And listen, we have debates. I love it when you and Cobra and Capital Finance have a good debate, and I
Yeah.
like it when I get involved in that. But it's always above board,
Yeah.
and I think it's so good.
Cool. So in the early days of I've been writing it down. So you first started to buy gold after doing a little bit of
Mhm.
research.
Yeah,
You thought, yeah, I'm not going to spend all my money, but I'm just going to have a little whack out, get a gram of gold a month, and you bought a little bit of silver. Um, was there anything else like playing around at the back of your mind at that point, or were you just happy, obviously going to work, accumulating your money, letting that build up, and just dipping your, as I call, dipping your toe in the pond with a little bit of investment in gold, a little bit of investment in silver. Was that your mindset at that point, or was you even
no, it
thinking
wasn't.
about other things?
Yeah, I wasn't happy. I
Okay.
knew, I knew I needed to do more, but I didn't know what to do. See,
Yeah.
I knew gold, I knew silver,
Yeah.
but I wasn't happy because I knew like there was something missing. And
Okay. Explain that a little bit. What do you mean by that?
I knew I needed more investment vehicles,
Okay.
but back then I didn't even know the term investment vehicle. My knowledge was so limited.
Yeah.
Um, so how is a man supposed to know what to do when he doesn't know what to do? I
Yeah.
had money,
Yeah.
but I wasn't just going to dump it into a McDonald's stock like most people do and hope you get rich overnight. I knew that wasn't the game plan, how it works properly.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
Um, so for me, it was the next step really became two things were massive for me. I knew I needed to buy my own house.
Yeah.
I knew I needed to do that. And I knew I needed to find the next investment vehicle to
Yeah.
go alongside commodities like precious metals.
Yeah.
So I ended up buying my first house in
Yeah.
2025.
Yeah.
Sorry, not 2025,
I was
in
going to say,
2022.
I was going to
Yeah, I
say,
bought
like
my first house.
we've just jumped into the
Yeah,
future.
no, yes. I bought my first house in 2022 when I was 25 years old.
Yeah.
So that was a massive thing for me. I was 25. I got
Incredible.
my own house. Um, and I was smart about it. I had lots of money, but to be frank, put in an amount with my partner of the time that she could match. So I didn't overcommit, but she also owned 50% as well.
Yeah.
So that left me with enough money to then invest the rest or buy something nice. So I bought the house and then bought a really nice car. And
Yeah.
that was so I didn't overcommit myself,
Bear
basically.
with me, future, a minute. Can you bear with me one
Hmm.
second? I'm just going to pause it.
Sure.
So, sorry, future.
That's what, mate.
The joys.
Yeah. Well, live recording.
Yeah.
Do you want me to continue where I left
Yes.
off?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or?
Go on, mate. Yeah. You're fine. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I bought my house in 2022 at 25.
Yeah.
I didn't overcommit financially. We went in
Mhm.
50-50, which allowed me to have enough capital left over to either invest the rest or buy something nice.
Sure.
So, did a bit of both. I bought a really nice sports car, which I still own. And
Yeah.
I very much enjoy having it.
What's the
However, as an
What's the car?
investor,
What's the car?
it's a 2016 Nissan 370Z Nismo.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's a nice little car,
Let's
but
have
it's
a-
an absolute liability. It's
Oh,
a
oh, is it?
Oh, of course. I mean, tax is £700 a year. I
That's
mean,
that's a liability.
exactly. As an investor, it's a terrible decision.
Yeah.
But I bought it outright, so I've got a lot of money sitting in that car, and
Yeah.
luckily it's not gone down in value, which is great.
Cool.
So but I'm kind of going off track here a little bit. My goal was to buy a house on the topic of what was my next step. So I bought a house, and once I did that, once I had bricks and was it
Mortar.
bricks and mortar?
Bricks
Bricks
and
and
mortar.
mortar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, bricks and mortar. I knew that then I could unrelease myself and go full on in investing because I
Yeah.
had the main thing everything needed, everything everyone wants and needs, right? A house.
Roof over your
We're no
head.
longer renting. So I started buying a lot more bullion. I bought a lot more bullion.
Yeah.
And that's when my stack started to become something worthwhile.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, now I would consider myself an investor. And
Yeah.
then I got onto index funds because I knew I needed a second vehicle and I was desperate to find what it could be. And 365, bless him, with his knowledge, he put me onto index funds. He said, listen, future, you want long term, low risk. Index funds could be a good position for you.
Sure.
And I did a lot of research, like everyone should do. You shouldn't just go by what people say.
Yeah.
And I decided that they were right for me. And I bought into the FTSE 100 accumulating fund, which is the UK's economy market, if you like,
Yeah.
and the S&P 500 on an accumulating fund,
Yeah.
which is the United States economy.
Yeah.
And I heavily invest initially in them for a long time and on a regular basis. And yeah, that was my second investment vehicle. But it was only once I got my house did I feel comfortable actually putting money into a second vehicle of
Sure.
investment.
Sure. And what was your mindset of doing more? Was it more gold and silver or just more gold? What was your mindset? What was your real driver? What was the thing that is really comfortable in your mindset to do that with bullion, whether it was gold, silver, or both? And then what was your mindset to go, okay, low risk? What was you thinking um, to go low risk to go into the FTSE and the S&P? What was your mindset? What was you thinking about? Was you thinking about the future? Was you thinking about, no, I
Mhm.
just want to get into something now? And, what was driving you to do those specific things? If, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, that's a good question. The simple thing that kept coming back to me was I have time. I have
Okay,
time.
cool.
And I'm not a risk taker. I'm definitely not a risk taker. So I knew, well, what can I do? Well, I can play the long game. I'm 25 when I really put my foot on the gas with investing. That's, when I really was like, let's do this now.
Yeah,
And my goal was, I'm 25. That gives me 25 years to buy a shitload of precious metals, put a load of money into index funds, and hopefully pick up one or two or three investment properties in the next sort of 25 years along the way. And
yeah,
then at 50, I'm going to stop working, at
yeah,
least for a company.
yeah,
That is always and still is my goal. I
yeah,
want to be able to, at 50 years old, go, I've got enough income now where I don't need to work for you. I'm going to just, you know, chill out. That is
yeah,
still my goal. And that was always what it was. It was, I've got time, providing nothing happens to me. No one's guaranteed time, but you have to work off of what you're supposed to have.
yeah,
And mine was 25 years of investments to get me financially free by 50. That
yeah,
is always my goal.
yeah. And your research into that weighing up. That's a really good point, actually. I love the way you answered that because time is just massive from that point of view, and you've got it, at that age. Well, hopefully you have. So yeah, that totally makes sense. Really does make a ton of sense. And this was back 23, would that be? Back in
Um,
2023?
what we now? 2024. No, this would have been 2022. So it was pretty much as
2022.
soon as I got the keys to my house,
Yeah.
I was like, right, I ain't got to worry about anything else now because I've got my house. As long as I keep my job, I can put all of my money into the S&P 500 if I want.
Yeah.
Because, as long as I pay my mortgage, no one's kicking me out. I'll just lose my money in the S&P. So it kind of gave me
Sure.
that safety. It was like very free. It was very freeing, you
Yeah.
know. Um, so yeah, um, that was sort of what happened for me.
Yeah. It's a
I'm
big bit
very,
of
very
alpha.
fortunate that, amongst my income, YouTube has taken off and that's actually become a source of income now
Sure.
worth writing home about.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and that wasn't even really, it was like if YouTube takes off and I earn 100 quid a month from it, for example, well, that'd be nice,
Yeah.
you know. But it got to the point where like, hang on a minute, this wasn't in the plan,
Yeah.
to a
Yeah.
degree.
Yeah.
This wasn't on the plan of retire by 50, like precious metals, index funds, and property.
Yeah.
YouTube's kind of been like a side bonus from doing my hobby and sharing my passion. And
Yeah.
it's only speeding up my timeline for me, which is like, what a result. I get to do what I love and I get to speed up my timeline. Like, fantastic.
Yeah, that's an interesting question I want to ask you there because obviously you've had this, you've built this picture up for us, which is brilliant, of your mindset of how you've achieved certain aspects in a very, very short period of time of your life, to be fair. So fair play to you. Um, did you at any point think that you could apply that same mindset in a way with social media nowadays, YouTube? I don't know. I think you do Instagram as well, don't you? Do you do Instagram?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. I've heard you mention it before. Did you ever sit there and think, oh crikey, um, if I put whatever time I have got into this, do you reckon I could make this a thing as well? Did that come into it, or did you really want to keep YouTube and your social media just as a hobby thing, or can you not help yourself? Because I'm very addictable. I get really involved with shit. Um, what was your mindset with your YouTube channel?
Oh, no. I mean, I always knew that if I could make income from YouTube,
Yeah,
then I was going to do it.
yeah,
But actually achieving it was like, well, let's just achieve it first. Let's
yeah,
even see if we can get to that point,
yeah,
you know. I didn't count it as, concrete. It was like you need to achieve this first. And I
Yeah.
remember working so hard,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason why they put it at 1,000 subscribers, or they did then, and 4,000 hours of watch time, because it wheedles out the people that, oh yeah, I'm going to start a channel, but it wheedles out the people that give up when times get hard. There was
Yeah.
days, right, where I got home from work and I was like, I do not want to film a video. I do not want
Really?
to spend hours editing and then go on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter and post it and promote it,
Wow.
and then reply to 20 comments. I just want to go and watch a film and eat dinner.
Yeah.
But I knew that was the defining moment where if I decided, no, I'm not doing it tonight, that's where I fail.
Yeah.
And I persevered, and it was horrible. It was a graft, like every day, sometimes twice a day, filming, editing.
Yeah.
Um, but it paid off because I knew once I got monetized, they can't take it away from you. If your views and subscribers then drop below, you don't lose monetization. You just don't
Okay.
get paid more.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, I did it, and what a celebration that was, because it was one of the hardest things I've ever done in terms of putting effort in.
Really?
Oh Christ, I mean, yeah, the hours. If you worked out an hourly rate of what I actually make from YouTube,
Yeah.
or did make in the early days as well, for the hours I put in, it would be like bloody £2 an hour. It
Yeah.
was ridiculous. But you've got to look beyond the end of your nose if you want to be an entrepreneur and be successful. I don't have inheritance to fall back on. I don't have any inheritance. So I've got to look after myself in that sense. So I was like, I'm not giving up. And to be honest with you, there was a lot of people that I had told about my channel and my personal life. And a lot of them gave me that silent, like, oh, okay. And I knew you can say a lot by saying nothing at all. And most people don't want you to succeed in life. And that's the sad truth. And I knew if I gave up, then that when then people that I see in 6 months would go, how's your channel going? And I go, oh, I gave up. They'd be like, oh, fair enough. And they'd be like, yeah, knew that, called that, knew he wasn't going to do it. And I was like, I'm gonna prove you wrong. I am
Yeah.
going to prove you wrong. And those days where I didn't want to film, I used to just think about some of those people who I knew would deep down, they might smile and say, yeah, good for you. But I knew deep down they didn't want me to do it because unfortunately, people judge themselves off of their social circle,
Yeah.
and they feel like if someone's achieving something, it makes them feel worse about themselves, which shouldn't be that way.
No.
But unfortunately, most people think like that,
Yeah.
and people don't want you to succeed. But I use that as fuel for me to not give up, and that's probably the big thing that kept me going.
Wow. That's massive. Because I'm so pleased. I'm so enjoying listening to this. I really am. Because it's so powerful stuff. Because I'm sure a lot of people, rightly, wrongly, whatever, everyone's got their own opinions on whatever. But I sometimes get the feeling people just think you rock up, you whack a video out there, you say whatever you want to say, and you're rolling in it.
Yeah,
But I mean, from my own personal experience, I'm not at that level. But um, there's a lot of time and effort. It's just so much time and effort goes into it, and you're really passionate about it. So listening to what you were saying is just so cool to again encourage other people to continue down this path through the hard times. And if socially people have been a prick about it, or excuse my language, to you, just to not give in and keep following your goals, because that seems like it's working 150% for you.
yeah. I mean, I am passionate about it because
Mm,
I've had to work bloody hard to
mm,
achieve what I've achieved. And
mm.
I don't like talking about it or ever bringing it up, but when it comes up in conversation, I'm happy to share my ambition of passion, you
Yeah,
know, because it is hard. People want you to fail. And
yeah,
most people, it's a very unique club when they don't. Someone like you or Cobra Stacker, Stat
yeah,
Collector,
yeah,
365. That's a bloody unique club. But
yeah.
the general rule of thumb is people don't want you to.
No,
And that was like, it drove me. It,
yeah,
it bloody drove me.
yeah,
And Yeah, I can understand why some people might think, oh, future investments, I'm rolling in it, but they don't see the behind the scenes. It takes me, 45 minutes to draft a video. Then it can take an hour to film if I'm not getting it in one take. Then it takes me a couple of hours to edit, upload, promote, and people might think I make £100 per video. I can tell you now, I definitely don't. Not even close.
Yeah,
But they're never going to know that because they haven't gone through it themselves. They only see what they want to see in the superficial. But
yeah.
if people want to achieve stuff, you've got to put in the grafts behind the scenes to get there. You know
In anything that we do.
exactly.
If you want to
Yeah,
be,
in anything.
if you want to be the greatest dad in the world, you've got to work hard to be the greatest dad in the world. If you want to be the
Exactly.
greatest husband, you've got to work hard to be the greatest husband. It's not easy. If you want to be the greatest whatever, you have to work hard. And that's something that I admire anyone at any age to do, but I admire, this is why I've really looked forward to getting you on, because I've seen it. I mean, I don't know you personally, obviously, but I've seen it. And it's always like at the back of my mind, shit, this boy's got a really good story to tell. So it's
Hmm.
really cool, mate.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you. So
appreciate that.
that's all right. It's a cool. It's fine. So that brings us up to present day.
Mhm.
I don't think I've missed anything out, unless you can think of anything I missed out. So my next question would be, what is the future of future investments looking like from a investments point of view, from a
Mhm.
YouTube point of view? Have you got any ideas, or are you just sort of happy? Maybe from a work point of view, I don't know. Let us know what you're thinking going forward. Within, don't go too mad, but
Those
only
categories,
say
yeah.
what you want to say, really.
Yeah, okay. So you said investment and YouTube
Yeah,
and work. So we'll start with investment. I talk about it in my videos and
yeah,
I stand by what I say. I'm going to stick by my three investment vehicles:
yeah,
precious metals, index funds, my only two, S&P and the FTSE 100, and investment buy to let interest only property.
yeah.
That is all I will be focusing on. I'm not getting distracted in stocks and shares or cryptocurrencies. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with them as an investment vehicle, but this is my plan, my strategy. And I feel like these three for me are what I need to achieve retirement and financial freedom by 50. Wealth
Yeah.
preservation and hedging against inflation with gold and silver, compound wealth building through index funds, and passive or semi passive income plus capital growth through property.
Yeah.
Now, I've got the two. I've got commodities. I've got the index funds. I've got my own mortgage, but I class that as a liability because by definition, it takes money out of my pocket, doesn't put money into my pocket. I'm still working on achieving the first buy to let investment. Unfortunately, I have had to take a back step because I separated from my partner about 3 months ago.
Oh,
And
sorry to hear that.
oh, that's all right. Thank you. Circumstances foreseen that I bought her out of the current property. So now
Okay,
I own it outright myself. But of
cool.
course, that capital gets taken up from my investment fund for the first purchase of the buy to let. So it's given me a bit of a back step. But the future of my investment would be probably sell the car next year and then I can straight away buy that first investment property.
Yeah.
That is my likelihood of the future for next year. It's not very likely, to be honest with you, regarding my investments. So stick with my big three,
Yeah.
but get my first investment property. Let's get that done. That's my
Mhm.
plan, and then go from there.
Sorry, I'm just going to jump in because it's pertinent to what you just said. Will you think about adding to your stack or your stocks, your S&P, or do you look at it as a strategy? Okay, no, I want to get my next goal first, like as in your property, and then I
Mm.
can go back to building the rest of it. I mean, what's your mindset on your? I'll call it a portfolio because it is a portfolio.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good question. My mindset is exactly that, solely focused on achieving that first buy to let.
Yeah,
So then I can categorically say I have an investment property in my
yeah,
portfolio. I'm sick
yeah,
and tired of saying I want to get one.
yeah,
Now's time. I need to get it.
yeah,
Um, But having said that, what I'm doing is the money that I've got in capital, I've, funnily enough, today was the day I decided instead of it just sitting there, I'm starting to feed it into the index funds
Okay.
to build me compound interest because it's not going to be at least a year till I get my first buy to let.
All right. Okay.
And that
Yeah.
money's sitting there, not doing anything for me. So I've decided I'm going to start feeding the index funds month by month, not dump it in all in at one go to
Wise.
spread my risk and not,
Yeah.
to cover myself.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use that money to create me a little bit more wealth. And I'm going to just wait until I'm mentally ready. And then next year, I'm going to sell that car, I think, and get that buy to let. So the answer to the question is next is the property. I'm
Yeah.
probably not going to be getting any more precious metals until I get that investment property. Once I've done that, then maybe I'll start getting back into, because in my mindset is if I buy an investment property, then my net worth has increased.
Yeah.
So therefore, my precious metals stack needs to increase to
Yeah.
compensate, if you know what I mean. The
Yeah.
percentage
Yeah.
changes. So that would be that.
Wow,
Um,
I probably could have answered that for you just by understanding through this video because I've got a complete picture of your mindset now, and that makes total sense. It does make loads of sense, And the beauty of it is you've got time. I will not forget that what you said earlier. One of the biggest things on the reasons why you decided to do what you was doing was you had time. And I think that's massive. That's a massive, massive, massive thing to have in a mindset. You've got the time.
oh, oh my God, it's massive.
Mm,
If you're fortunate enough to have time, then you can do so much,
mm,
with so little as well,
mm.
Um,
And what
yeah,
about
so
what?
that's my plans for the investments side of it.
Yeah. Another question, because you touched on it, your social circles. Oh, mate, have you still got doggy?
Oh yeah, Tommy's downstairs guarding
All
the
right.
fort.
Okay. Well, I just
What?
realized when you said you split up, and I'm thinking, who got Tommy?
Oh, I did.
Oh, cool. Okay, good.
Yeah,
Sorry, bit of a sidetrack there.
yeah, no, that's
Uh,
fine.
you
Good
mentioned about
question.
your social circles and people judging you and whatever. Did that, did you, have you lost, touch of your or certain friends as you've gone along on your journey? Or have you found that people just, the real good friends just stay your good friends? Or have you found it like, maybe some people looked at it as a bit of a stigma and, oh, look at Future, look what he's doing. And you sort of lost people along the way.
Good question. I have actively chosen my circle and made it smaller. I
Right.
don't feel like I've lost anyone through stigma or through maybe what I've achieved
Yeah.
because if I was hanging around with somebody that wanted to stop hanging around with me because I'm achieving stuff, then that is fine for that person to stop hanging around with me, in my personal view.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I am so passionate about achieving I want to say entrepreneurship. To be able to call myself a natural entrepreneur,
Yeah.
I need to hang around with like-minded people who have either achieved more than me or who are at least trying to do the same.
Yeah.
So I would say that I have pulled away from people that aren't beneficial to me in that sense. I would
Yeah.
never not be polite or friends with someone, so to speak, but I'm not going out of my way anymore to reach out with the people that aren't in the circle that I want. Because, I do believe that you are who you hang around with to a
Yeah.
degree, you
Yeah.
know. So yeah, my circle's small. My circle's small, but that's how I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's important to keep people around you that like you for who you are, not what you are or what you've become or what you're trying to become. And I, I gather, well, I'm obviously a lot older than you, but I gather it would be really important when you're on, I call it a mission of goals in your life. You want at least amount of negative distraction around you. So it's important to get the right people around you to support you, not directly, but you know what I mean, in your journey to achieving those. And I hear that, and I've read that story quite a bit about people that are on those journeys, and how things change they keep things the way they need to keep them to try and achieve their goals. So you're well on track by the sounds of it.
Well, thank you. Well, you know, yeah, I agree with what you just said, to be honest. I mean, yeah, you got to decide, there has to come a point where you have to decide what do you want and how are you going to do it. And
Yeah,
then you have to sit down and think, right, I've decided what I want. I've decided how I'm going to do it. But how do I actually implement that? And sometimes you've got to be cool to be kind if you want to do or achieve what you want to achieve.
yeah. And that I don't know about you, but maybe when you go through life, maybe experiencing more things in your life as you go through it. But I can definitely say that this does not, everything you're talking about and we're talking about doesn't just purely apply to money. It
No,
applies to life.
yeah.
Would you agree? Is that what you're experiencing?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know if anyone's noticed, but more recently, my content is still finance orientated,
Yeah,
but it's definitely taken a turn to more lifestyle mindset orientation as well. And
yeah,
I tend to finish a lot of my videos with, a sort of synopsis of, all of this is great. Having money is fantastic. Having nice investments with gaining interest in that is fantastic. But
yeah,
I literally live by a motto, and the guys at work even laugh about it because I say it all the time and they repeat it. And I always say, if you've got health, you've got wealth,
yeah,
and everything else is a bonus.
yeah,
And the simple reason I say that is because if you suddenly got severely ill tomorrow, terminally ill, you would not, I personally would not give a shit how much gold I've got or
yeah,
what car I've got in the garage. All I'd want is to be healthy,
yeah,
you know, or to be able to breathe properly or to be able to see again.
exactly.
So I'm trying to live my life because it does get so tunnel vision for
Yeah,
me on
yeah,
my investments, and I can get very, very focused where that's all I think about, the moment I wake up to the moment I shut my eyes. So I've had to try and take my mind into a more holistical mindset of, future investments. It's okay. You're doing well. If you're healthy, everything else after that is a bonus because I'm so driven. I'm so ambitious. It's almost a detriment to my health because I can't switch off and I can't stop.
yeah,
So I've had to try and teach myself to be like, listen, you're healthy. Everything else after that is just a bonus.
yeah,
Whether I've got 1 gram of gold or a kilo, or I've got 10 buy-to-lets or none.
yeah,
I'm healthy right now and I'm able to sit here and have a chat with a mate. After that, everything's a bonus. And I'm really finding my mentality is enjoying that sort of side of things. So it's coming out in my videos more and more. And hopefully people enjoy it.
yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm going to make what content I want to make and sort of go from there. But yeah.
Uh, what's, I mean, that's a big change. That's a big mindset change. That's a big life changing thing to happen to anybody. So, was there anything that triggered that, or is it just naturally just you just sitting there one day or over a small period of time thinking, shit, hold on a minute. Um,
Um,
I'm so tunnel visioned here. Like sometimes for people, an event can trigger it, and you just something will make you sit there and think, "What the fuck am I doing?" Excuse my language, but it's my channel, and you can swear if you
I
want to.
like it.
It's not a
I,
problem.
I'm glad you said that because I've nearly let some go a few times.
No, 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 mate. It's a very open. The What podcast is a very open for people to be how they want to be, and then you choose how you want to be. You live by the consequences of your own actions, but it's a free space to be how you want to be. Um,
Love that.
so yeah, sometimes we go through life. I know I have at certain aspects. Certain things have just triggered a different mindset, or just made me sit there and think, shit, I need, yeah, something else. Something I need to learn something else here. This is, I'm feeling myself not truly feeling comfortable on my journey. I need to change something. Something needs to change, to get back on track. Did that?
Mm.
Can you relate to that, or is it a bit too early to
Oh,
say?
no, I can definitely relate. I mean, I could probably think of one thing that, has really pushed me into this mindset.
Yeah,
Separation after you've been with a partner for a long time is never easy.
yeah,
Um, and it puts things into perspective for you,
yeah,
what it did for me.
yeah,
But I was already on that sort of holistical mindset approach anyway. But I think certain things have happened in end of 2023 and 2024 for me that have reinforced it. And
Yeah.
I'd honestly say I needed to kind of find that mindset because I get so driven
Yeah.
that I'm almost unhappy
Yeah.
because I'm literally, my mind is so like, you've got to achieve this future investments. You need to achieve this buy to let, or you need this next ounce. It's fantastic because it means you're going to grow as an entrepreneur, as a person.
Yeah.
But I can't switch off.
Yeah.
Like it's like a switch in me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've had to sort of tell myself like it's okay. You know, you are doing fine.
Yeah.
You know, so I try and I've tried to sort of teach myself to just be grateful, I think is the right word,
Yeah.
and um, I am for grateful. I'm so grateful, I've
Mm.
got more than most people, I've got nothing to be unhappy about. And sometimes I have to pull myself back out of my own body and say, listen, you're healthy, you can breathe. There's people out there who would trade right now their
Yeah.
position for you, not even for
Absolutely.
what you've got, just for your health.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I'm really enjoying living my life like that because I've always been a bit like that. When my car was set on fire in 2019, it was my dream car. And I remember I called my dad and I was like, oh, Dad, can you come down to the garage if you get a second? My car's been set on fire. And I didn't really have any emotions. I was like, it's a car, it's a thing. Doesn't
Mm.
really mean much. And he said to me that he was impressed with how, like, I didn't let that phase me.
Yeah.
And I was, sort of in the mindset where, like, well, what's the point? There's no point crying over spilt milk,
Hmm.
you know? And obviously, human emotions are a thing. It's not possible to not have human emotions, but I try and live my life on the essence of there is no point crying over spilt milk. Just, you know,
Yeah.
there's a good film actually. There's a good film called, it's got Tom Hanks and it's a spy film. Uh, oh, um, The Bridge of Spies, I think it's called. And
Okay. I think I've heard of it. I haven't seen it though.
it's a brilliant film. But to give a little example, there's a spy, he's Russian, and he gets caught by the Americans. And Tom Hanks becomes his lawyer, American lawyer. And he's like, listen, you might get sentenced to death. And this Russian spy is like, okay, whatever. And his whole attitude is like, yeah, okay, whatever. And Tom Hanks is like, listen, I told you you might just get put to death, but you don't care. And the spy's attitude, he literally says like, well, would it help? Would it help me worrying? Would it help me kicking up a fuss? Would it
Yeah.
help me getting sad? And the truth behind the matter is, no, it wouldn't. What's the point?
Mhm.
What is the point? And that's how I sort of try and be like, what is the point of just wasting emotions and energy? Like, obviously, sometimes your mental capacity gets overridden,
Yeah.
and you can't control yourself. But 9 times out of 10, I try and live by that. It's just is what it is. I should get it tattooed across my arm or something. It is what it is.
It's so true, isn't it? But
Yeah,
I think nowadays, and it's probably getting more and more evident that the whole system is built to distract us from our day-to-day enjoyment, and we can become so tunnel visioned on the hamster wheel that quite often I think to myself, I can start at point A and I can see point B and I can go on that journey with blinkers on, but I miss all the beauty of what's in between.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And as soon as I realized that, then I just, whoa, it's just like a breath of fresh air again. It's just like you breathe again. You just think, yeah, I know point B is still there and yeah, we're going to get there. But oh my God, I want to enjoy the journey. And the journey is offering me so much more if I let it appear and manifest itself in front of me. But you
yeah,
can't do it with blinkers on. You just can't.
yeah. No,
It's
I
just,
agree. But
go on, mate. Sorry.
it's a good way to approach life. There's a saying I like, and it's so simplistic, but when you sit back and think about the meaning, it really kind of resonated with me. And it's almost on the flip side, like it's motivation, but
Yeah.
it goes like this. If nothing changes, nothing changes.
Yeah.
And that's so true. It's so simple.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at yourself and like maybe, you're not happy with something you're doing, well, if nothing changes, nothing's gonna change.
Yeah,
And it's so simple.
yeah,
But I heard it and I was like, how have I not even thought about that? But it proper hit me and I was like, that's so true.
yeah,
We can moan and we can whinge and we can be happy, but if nothing changes, nothing changes. It's
yeah.
like that is so true.
And the definition of nothing is yourself.
Was it really? I didn't know that.
Well, no, I'm just saying, if you,
Oh, in
instead
that
of saying
context.
nothing, just like put yourself into it. If you don't
Yes,
change, you
exactly.
don't change.
That's exactly the point. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. That's what it's getting at. Yeah. If
yeah,
you do not change, well, that thing isn't going to change for you.
no,
You know?
exactly. Yeah, it's powerful stuff.
Yeah, it is.
It's it's something that I wish you, if that's your mindset changing on your channel, that's obviously meant for a reason, and that's gonna that's gonna just, yeah, it's gonna push you, I'm sure, to another level in your journey, because you're beginning to realize that journey is about what's around you as well. That's really powerful
Mm.
stuff, mate. I'm really pleased for you. I really am.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm really enjoying allowing myself to feel like that. I mean, I've got some of the books in the background. I wanted to put them in tonight for everyone that is feeling like they want to change because it's nice to have them recommendations. I mean, like the compound effect, again, a bit finance based, but it also and about making small changes regularly can change your life. This one's fantastic. The Four Agreements.
Mhm.
It's a proper holistical lifestyle book. Very short, easy read, but it's basically all about if somebody says fuck you, excuse my language, it
Yeah,
has absolutely nothing to do with you and
yeah,
everything to do with that person who's just said it.
I
And when
know.
you get that mindset, someone could say that to you and you wouldn't even bat an eyelid because you've got the mental capacity to realize you've got the problem, not me. And that's what that top book's about. And honestly, fantastic. And the one I'm reading right now is The Courage to Be Disliked. And it's very good. It's sort of a philosopher and his student talking about different views on life, almost like what we're doing tonight. But if we was having a debate, that would be more like the book. But yeah,
Yeah,
very good.
cool.
Maybe that's implementing my mindset a little bit more. The fact that I'm sort of delving into them and it's coming across on the channel. But we'll see. I'm still kind of trying to gauge feedback on what people think about it. But for sure, I'm not
Yeah,
going to lose the finance stuff because I love that. You know, it's my
yeah.
passion as well.
And I think it's really important obviously it's up to you, but if it feels right, dude, then explore it more. If it actually sits within you and you think, yeah, this is a nice part of my journey now, I'm going to explore that more, then don't be too concerned about what others want you to do. Be more concerned about how you want to be
Yeah,
on especially on your channel, because that that's really, really important, because I believe personally that as time goes on, we're going to go through even more tougher times, and people will be looking for, not what they want to hear, but what they must hear. So it's going to be really important for people to be as genuine and following their dreams through their heart, and and have that message out there. I think that's really going to be important. So, but do what you like, obviously, but yeah, don't let too many people say, "Oh, I don't want to listen to that. I want to listen to gold and silver." If you really feel that, you want to sort of integrate something else into you. I'm doing it now with my channels. Moving on. It's good. It
yeah,
makes me
no,
feel
I
good,
appreciate that. Yeah, definitely. And I mean, look at the success you've had already. I mean, Christ, it's we said earlier, didn't we? It's looking like it's going to take over.
Yeah, yeah, it is. But the real success is I'm enjoying it.
Yeah,
That's my real success. Is I'm really enjoying the journey, and yeah, I'm a human being, and it does get a little bit. You can get wrapped up in what people think and whatever, but I think that's just part of life. It doesn't, for me personally. It doesn't. The thing that makes it me do it is because I feel good. So
yeah,
that's got to continue. So until I don't feel good about it, then I'll continue doing it. I suppose that's what I was trying
Yeah,
to say, really.
that's how it should be.
Yeah,
Definitely.
definitely. Yeah, you're an old person on a young mind and a young physical body, by the sounds of it. So fair
Yeah, I'd
play,
agree
mate.
with
Fair
that.
play.
No,
Fair.
thanks. I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, fair play. Fair play. And do you know what I'm looking forward to as well, Mr. Future,
Go on.
is that, and I'm really pleased about this, is that over time, especially with my podcast now, over time, I can get these younger people back in, and we can reflect on those journeys because now we've got a history,
Hmm.
and we can talk about those journeys. If I'm not worm food in a few years' time, but you never know, I might be.
That's worth.
Yeah, touch wood.
I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, dude, what do you do outside of all this work and social media and investments? Do you have an unwind thing?
I love that. Nice to break the mold because it can get heavy, can't it, when we get onto like
Oh,
this topic.
100%. Yeah.
Um, I love motorsport. I love Formula One
All right.
with a passion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Formula One. I love go-karting.
Okay.
Um, I've raced. I competed when I was a youngster. But now I just do it recreationally, fun. Although I haven't done it for a long time, to be honest with you. Um, their go-karts have gone electric, and I'm not a fan of that. I prefer the petrol because it's much noisier. It gives the vibration. The adrenaline pumps a lot more. But yeah, I love go-karting. I love motorsport. Um, what else do I like? Uh, I mean, that's my things really. Finance and motorsport really is my thing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's my sort of my big things, finance and motorsport.
Yeah. You're a bit of film buff.
Yeah, love films, Christ. And I'm like, yeah, I always seem to remember films like Faces and yeah, love a good film. Um,
Cool.
Series as well.
Yeah.
Love
What's
series.
what's your favorite series?
The first thing that comes to my mind,
Yeah.
and I'm going to say this because I probably watched it the most, is Band of Brothers.
Oh, mate, that's amazing.
Yeah, I must admit, I must have watched it, God knows, 5 or 6 times in my
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Maybe. I love it. I bloody
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a wicked
yeah,
journey,
Band of
isn't it?
Brothers.
Yeah.
Oh, what a journey!
Yeah.
What a journey! Did you watch the newer one? The flying one. I can't remember what it was called.
Oh no, the something aces, isn't it? Is it something
Oh
aces? It's called something like that. But my son was talking about because my son's the same age as you. He was talking about it and he said, "Dad, you need to watch it, mate. It's really good."
yeah, I'm just looking it up now. Tom Hanks flying series. I'm putting in. Um, it is very good. I watched it. Yeah, Masters of the Air. It's
Ah,
called
that's it.
Masters of
Yeah,
the Air.
yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Brilliant. Yeah, brilliant. Not up there with Band of Brothers. It's very hard to beat, but it's
yeah.
very good. I'll definitely watch it again without a doubt.
Real men,
Yeah.
real
Yeah.
men.
Oh, real men. I mean, can you imagine, being, we're 19 years old and you're
Oh,
going
mate,
up in a bomber? That's a rickety old thing. And, I think the average lifespan for like a Battle of Britain's fighter pilot in a Spitfire was like 2 weeks or something ridiculous, or 8 weeks.
Yeah, yeah. The
They were like 18.
chances of coming back of a bombing raid was just like ridiculously low.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Mm.
It's amazing, and I won't get onto it because I get quite passionate about it. But
Yeah.
it
Same.
goes to show that it's a bit of a shit show for what all those people fucking died for
Yeah.
through two horrendous, massive wars, and what we're 100 years down the line for one of the wars, and we still don't seem to have learned our lessons. But hey, it's just yeah, I don't want to go there because it's stupid, but it's a shame. But yeah, so you're into your films, you're into your
Yeah.
motor
Into my
racing.
film. Yeah. My motor racing, my series. Obviously, YouTube's the passion.
Yeah,
Um, wouldn't have done it this long if it wasn't.
no,
Uh, for sure.
yeah.
What else?
Have a night, go out on socially, drinking, anything like that.
I do like a
Um,
nice dance in a nightclub. Yeah. Future
well,
Investments does like a party.
well,
Um,
the reason why I asked you that because I've sometimes heard you or jumping, or I've seen you on the chat jumping in quite late sometimes, and you've said like, "Oh, just coming back. I've been out on the Raz." I thought, yeah, he enjoys himself. That's cool.
Yeah, I must admit, there's a local club near me. Well, it's actually a pub,
Yeah,
but it's so good because it's like tables everywhere, so you can sit down and chill. But there's also a really good dance floor,
yeah,
so it's got everything for everyone. And I love going there. I mean, I love a dance. Future investments loves. I can't. By the way, I cannot dance
yeah,
at all,
yeah,
but I'm the first person on the dance floor. I don't care if there's literally no one on there. I'll just go. I don't even
yeah,
have to have a drink.
yeah,
Um, and I just love to have a boogie. And my mates will always be like, "Mate, what are you doing? There's no one on the dance floor. Like, come off." And I'm like, "Nah, come on, because someone's got to be the first person, you know." Um, so yeah, I was even thinking about going out this weekend, but I've got a little bit of a sore on the back of my throat, and I was like, oh, it's
yeah,
probably not wise to go out too early hours of the morning.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's
but
it's
it's funny
it's
because I'm not a weekly drinker. Like, I've had a cider tonight,
yeah,
but I never just drink in the week. Casually, never.
yeah,
It's only when I go out.
yeah.
Um,
And let your hair down, which is cool. You should do. You should enjoy yourself. That's really funny, actually. You bringing up dancing because I don't know if you watched Darth Stacker's story
no.
on the What podcast. Listen to it. It's quite funny because he met his. He used to be pretty good at breakdancing.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, that come out, and I said to him, I said, mate, now you've told us that everyone's going to want to see you breakdancing. I said, you're going to have to do a breakdancing video one day. Now you've said you like dancing, and I'm just thinking, I have to get them both dancing.
Yes. Like that. Yeah. We can go out for a boogie. Like I
Yeah,
say, it doesn't take much.
yeah. Wouldn't it be cool? Just as I'm going to wrap it up in a minute because believe it or not, we've been on for an hour and a half.
Wow.
Yeah, it's gone really quick. But wouldn't it be cool to possibly have a UK stackers social night somewhere?
I would love that.
Wouldn't that be
I would
cool?
go.
Yeah,
I
I would as
know.
well.
I know. There's been an event where the Stack Collector and Cobra Stacker met each other at the
Yeah,
coin fair, and I
yeah, they
was
did.
invited to that. I
Yeah, I
was
remember.
invited, but I'll be honest, a coin fair just really isn't my thing. Like, I am not a numismatic collector in the slightest. I'm a
Yeah,
proper weight stacker.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and it was a bit of a trek, and I was like, I think I'll wait for another opportunity because I know there will be another one for sure.
yeah,
And if there was an organised pub meet where we all booked a premiere in, I'll be there. Especially now, I'm a single man now, so as long as I get someone to look after the dog,
you're
easy
free.
peasy for me.
You're free man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
You're
very
free
freeing
man.
feeling, I must say.
Yeah, that's cool. That's so cool. Oh,
Yeah,
brilliant, mate. I have really enjoyed this, and I hope that we can revisit maybe, in a bit of time going forward, just to see how you're getting
oh,
on and build that relationship up. And I know people watching this again, and it's proving a point to me. Again, it's just going to show that um, we're all we're all trying to do the same sort of thing, and it's everything's possible. You don't have to be from a specific background. You don't have to be a specific person. You can be anyone. It's just a case of just wanting to do it, and it's coming out more and more and more. And I think that's a really powerful thing for people to share, and I really appreciate it.
yeah. No, I agree completely. I think networking and mindset is paramount. You've got to have the mindset, and then you can network.
Yeah,
And those two tie in together so well.
mhm.
Um, and consistency is key.
Yeah,
Everyone wants to start, but not everyone wants to finish.
yeah.
And that's the difference between where the winners and the losers are made.
Gotcha.
So if there's any motivation for anyone, if you start something, the day that you think you don't want to do it, that's the defining moment where you do it,
Yeah,
in my opinion, uh, from experience. But, I hope people have enjoyed tonight's episode. It's been nice to give my story because I've never given it.
yeah,
So maybe when people see this, if anyone is a viewer of my channel, who knows, but it might be nice, because then they can get a bit more of a feel of who Future Investments is behind the camera.
Yeah.
Um, I really appreciate the opportunity and the way you've hosted me tonight, because it's been very easy to answer these questions. And,
Yeah.
that's very good. So thank you for having me, mate. It's been great fun and be great in definitely, like you say, a couple of years or whatever, if there's big growth changes for both of us,
Yeah.
we can, or maybe there hasn't,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we can divulge into that.
Yeah. I'm
That'd be
look.
really good.
I'm also looking to put together uh, um, a podcast maybe once a month or so, where I'm going to try and get, two, three, four, five people on, all and talk about certain aspects. So yeah, I'd like you to come on there if you want to do that once I get that sort of
Oh,
worked out.
I would love that. I really enjoy the multi podcasts. I need
Mm.
to continue watching the Camel Finance, You, and Cobra one.
Yeah,
I often put them on when I'm cooking dinner
yeah,
or making lunch.
yeah.
Put the laptop or the phone on against the wall, and it's just nice to like have that company and topic of conversation. So for sure, I'd definitely be up for that if I'm asked. So yeah.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, it's yeah. I'm really pleased you've come on, dude. Right, okay. Formalities. Where can everyone find you?
If you want to watch some of my content, you can find me at youtube.com future investments bullion. But if you just typed in future investments and gold, that would bring up my videos for sure. But you can also find me on Instagram, Twitter as well. Pretty much the same handle, future investments bullion. Yeah, on there as well.
Okay, cool, mate. I'll tell you what. If you can text me at your convenience, this will be out probably next Tuesday.
Okay.
But if you can text me at your convenience, all your handles of your different sites, your different social media sites, I'll make sure they're in the description of the video.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate that.
That's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on. Really enjoyed that one.
Oh, mate, it's been really fun. It hasn't felt like a long podcast. It's been super chill. So thank you. And hope you have a good weekend, mate. And I'm gonna after this pack my stuff away and go and cook some dinner and continue listening to your latest podcast. So,
Well, hang on a minute. I just want a quick chat when we finish. So,
oh yeah, yeah. Yeah.
all right, bud. Thank you very much. See you later. Take care.
Thanks so much, EPM. Take care. Thanks,
Bye,
mate.
bye then. Bye bye.